Okay, let's begin with the first part. In this part, we will look at some basic concepts, setup, and your first data extraction. So really important, just take a look in the video description. I will upload all the scripts we are writing in this series, and there will be some more useful links we will cover in this video. So let's begin with some basic concepts of Riot API, of Python, and of the Discord.py. So we will, using the Riot API, we will use Python and the Discord.py library. So these are three components we will need, so it can be quite complicated at some points, but we will really start, so we'll start slow and build from that. So the basic concept of this whole series will be extract. So I just write it and then explain it. Extract, process, and show. So every three of these components will take a part in our base concept. So we'll be extracting data with the Riot API. We will process this data with Python, and we will show that data in our Discord with the Discord.py. So in order to get an idea how it will look once we have finished, I have one example here in our Discord. So this is my guild Discord, and here we have a match history text channel, and as you can see, this bot automatically prints out some game information if someone finishes a game. So I can configure who he prints out, so I have a list of my friends, and here it's basically one big live match history where we can see the stats, the kill participation, and all of that stuff. We from the color you can see if it's like a win or lose. You see which game on which champion. So that's basically where we want to get. So by the way, at the end of the series, I will also give this particular bot as a download, as an open source project, so that you can build up from this, get your own ideas, maybe look into how I did certain things, because we won't cover everything in this tutorial series. I just want to give you like the basics that you can build up from them. So I won't show you every little detail. I want you to get creative, find stuff in the internet, and so on. Okay, but now let's actually get in our basic setup. For my IDE, I am using Visual Studio Code, so I will link that in the video description. You can get it for free. I do really like it. For Python, you can use anything else like idle or Eclipse, for example. I don't know if Eclipse can do Python, but you can use anything you like. I really like Visual Studio Code because it's very simple and it does look quite well. So that's one thing we need. Then you also need your Python, obviously. So get the newest version of Python and be sure to add it to path. When you're installing it, there should be a little checkbox asking if you want to add Python to path. Do that. It will make installing new modules much easier. Talking about modules, you should have a look at pip. That's the package installer for Python. Have a look at its documentation and learn how to install packages. It's pretty easy, but just take a look. I will also link that in the video description. And talking about packages with pip, and go ahead and install the Python library Riot Watcher. It's just so Riot Watcher itself makes our life much easier. We can yeah, it's as it says here, it's a thin wrapper on top of the Riot API. It makes our life easier with data extraction. So just install it, and I will show you how to use it in this video. And yeah, that's it for now. So we can go ahead, create a .py file and start programming. So now, if you installed Riot Watcher, you should be able to import it, okay? So you can just say import, and now we can import Riot Watcher, okay? So if nothing, like there's no error message, you know it worked and you installed the Riot Watcher. So Riot obviously has more games than just League of Legends, and if you take a look here, we have League of Legends, Legends of Runeterra, Teamfight Tactics, Valorant. That's a lot of games, and we don't want to import everything because like that's a basic idea to only really import the things you need. So we are not going to import the whole Riot Watcher, and there are some keywords in Python for that. So we can say from the Riot Watcher module, we only want to import the LOL Watcher. Okay, so now we did not import the whole Riot Watcher thing, but only the LOL Watcher. Okay, that's for our imports. I would recommend to always comment your code so that it's nice and clean. And now let's initialize it, okay? Our stuff, our watcher. Okay, let's say our watcher will equal LOL Watcher. And now there's one argument. So Visual Studio Code does tell us what's the argument, and it's the API key. So we did not talk about that one yet, so let's do that right now. Riot's API is free to use, but we need a key to connect to the APIs. And that key is free. You can get it from the Riot developer page. So I will link that as well. You need a Riot account. And then you have two types of keys. You have the development API key, which you have to regenerate every 24 hours. So therefore also reinsert into your program. So that's pretty good for obviously development. But if you're finished with your project, you can register it, give a brief summary, tell them about your project, and then you will get an time unlimited product key, API key. Note that we have rate limits, so you're not allowed to go over these requests, so not more than 20 requests every 1 second and not more than 100 requests every 2 minutes. That's really important. Okay, so once you have generated it, just click on copy for your clipboard, and now it is basically just a string we'll use. So let's store it in a variable. We can say Riot API key, and that's a string, and that's our API key we just copied from that website. Keep in mind, if your program does not work anymore, it's probably because your API key expired. Okay, so now let's set up the LOL Watcher. We just need the Riot API key. And now we connected our LOL Watcher to the Riot API. If we run that, you'll see no exception. That means it worked. Okay, so now we need one basic concept, which I'll go over right now. If you click here on Docs and then League of Legends, you will get to this page here. I will also link that one in the video description. And here's a part where they talk about the routing values, okay? We have platform routing values and regional routing values. There is a difference between them. For this part, we will only be using platform routing values, but in later parts, we also going to use regional routing values. So keep that in mind. Read over this and get a feeling how this whole API works, but keep in mind, for now, you only need the platform routing value. And I just wanted to tell you that because we're going to name it like that in Python. And it's quite a complicated name, but I just wanted to tell you where this name comes from, okay? So we're using the platform routing value, which we just initialize platform routing value. And as you can see on the page, we have some values here. I'm Europe, so I'll take this one right here. But if you're, for example, like in NA, you'll take your NA1, but I use the EU West one. So copy that as it's right in here, and let's actually fill that variable with this value, okay? So now we have the basic preparation. I want to do one more thing. I want to actually get a summoner name stored. In that case, I'll just take my summoner name. That we can like change who we are searching. So we will make this completely modular, so we can actually search for every summoner we want. Okay, so now we have a lot of variables, and let's actually use them. I want to start with the first basic thing in this whole series, basic data extraction. We'll only focus on the summoner object or the summoner data. Okay, so let's create that summoner data and store it in a summoner variable. So now we need the Riot API. Or now we have to talk to the Riot API. We'll do that by our watcher. And now if we go back to this page and click on APIs, you will see the Riot API has a lot of different APIs. Here are every API you could think of for every game they have, so like Legends of Runeterra or League. And we'll be using the Summoner API. It's version 4, and that's what we'll be using in this video. So in order to use it, we'll just, with our watcher, we just call the .summoner, okay? So now the watcher knows we are using the Summoner API. And now we want to request summoner data. And as you can see, we have a lot of different options to do that. We can do it by account, by ID, by name, and by PUID. And we will just take the by name, okay, because we have a summoner name. And we want to search for summoner data by its name. So now we need two things here. We need the region, and guess what? That's actually the platform routing value. And we need the summoner name itself, as in string. So it's pretty easy. We just write summoner name because we have already stored that one right here. Okay. So now, if we load that page, you will see we actually have created or extracted some summoner data. So Python is really, really good at printing out data. So for example, if we look at Java, you cannot just simply print out arrays and dictionaries or hash maps. You have to iterate through them. But Python is really, really good at printing out dictionaries, lists, and all of this. So what we can simply do is, well, let's print out the summoner. Okay, so let's run that. And you will see we have some data here. And if you're familiar with Python, you can actually see what this really is, because we have those curly brackets right here. You'll see this is actually a dictionary with keys and values. So it's always key and then the value, okay? So let's actually take a look into what we can find here. Well, one thing we can find here is the summoner level. Okay, that's something we could extract right here from this. So let's do that. So this is a dictionary, so you might be familiar with how to extract data. We have the key, the summoner level, we know that, and we want the data in this key, the value, okay? So let's actually get that value by just doing, or by just searching for the key. So we write summoner, and now we take the key summoner level, okay? Now we're printing out the value from the key summoner level, which will basically be 132. Okay, that's great. So as you can see, we can now do that for every summoner. Let's do one of my friends here. Let's load it. You see another level because we actually extracted it from the Riot API. And that's it for this part of the series. We did some basic setups. We initialized our API and our watcher, and we already started extracting some basic data. I'm really looking forward to this tutorial series, and I also want to give you a little idea what we'll be doing in the next few parts. So we will focus more on some summoner data, on some ranked data in the next part. We will look into format of printing so that we have a nice and clean message in our console. And in the next few parts, we will start increasing the level of the data, okay? It will get more complicated. We will start looking into match details. We will start extracting match details, and then we will start actually calculating and processing data, okay? Getting new values from actual values. Let's, for example, say we have kills, deaths, assists. We want to actually get the KDA value. And we'll do that with Python. We will process the data. And once we processed all the data we want, we'll actually get into, okay, how to show the data or export the data to Discord, how to actually do that. And therefore, or when we start doing that, we will start pretty low. We'll just do some really ugly text messages in the main channel of the Discord, okay? Just printing out, just swapping out the Python console with the Discord channel, okay? So the first bot we will do will just print out, for example, the summoner level in the main channel of the Discord. And then we'll start actually fine-tuning it and making good-looking messages and look into how to set up the bot so it's pretty good, well-coded. So we are talking about error handling and all that stuff. And then at the end, we'll talk about the project. So my open source bot project, we will look into the source code, what we did, what we can use, what we already talked about. And I will show you how to actually host your bot, okay? You don't want to have that bot host on your PC because your PC has to run all the time then. And you'll always have to run this .py file. I will show you how to host your bot almost all the time in 1 month for free. I say almost because sometimes at the end of the month it could be that the bot stops working because we don't pay, but that's a really small project and it's only like 10 minutes. We'll talk about that. Some additional files we have to generate in order to make it work. We have to look into GitHub, but we will get there. Don't be confused. Just try to understand what we did. Try to code it yourself. Maybe play a bit, find out more data. So, for example, print out the profile icon ID and look it up. Maybe you find the icon IDs on Google and you can process that into a summoner icon. So you can extract the data and then look it up and compare it. Is it really the summoner icon you have in League of Legends? So that's things you can do with this now. If you have any questions, feel free to ask them, and I'm really looking forward for the next part. Thank you for watching.